What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony Castillo with you guys. So this one, I wanted to come with this very hot because it's very important to understand. So RTS, what is that? Because obviously RTS is very relatable to what this channel was all about from the very beginning. So, and there's going to be some clarity related to RTS. Well, I want to be able to make you understand what religious trauma syndrome and what what spirituality was about. So, let's get into it. RTS. Religious trauma syndrome. Okay? So, as a researcher, right? Someone that also is researching liminal spaces and liminal thresholds, right? Someone that investigates the dynamic between understanding what trauma and religion does to someone, right? Well, I don't know if I ever told you guys, but I actually read the whole Bible, okay? I'm not going to indoctrinate. That's never the purpose here. I'm not going to indoctrinate because the purpose of here was to recognize what this channel was about from the very beginning, right? I know I told you guys in my previous video, I'm not a Christian. Not going to be. I'm never going to be, because if you understood where a person comes from, you would understand where a person comes from, right? Well, I read the King James Version of the Bible. I'm not going to present it to you guys to show you guys some kind of proof, just because I would feel like that would just be a disservice for you guys as well. But we need to kind of dig deeper into what RTS is. RTS. Because in order to understand what religious trauma syndrome is to also understand the previous history of what religious trauma syndrome really is, right? So there's very mechanisms, right? If you look at any kind of research articles about PTSD, people that go through certain types of symptoms out there, that have thought they heard voices, they react to hallucinations, they react to certain types of various types of auditory things or some stuff like that. Well, as a person, I mean, later on down this road, I'll probably give you guys a little bit of my own confession or my testimony about what I've been through. When I finished that whole book, right, I finished it to its totality, right, and I just realized, like, you know, when I went through that, I discovered things that most people would never understand, right? Most people would never get it. They're not gonna get it. You look at a different YouTube video or YouTube channel, they're gonna also get it. And then people in society, if you're at a local area, they're not gonna get it as well, right? But RTS, how does that relate to spirituality? Well, spirituality is about learning how to find that type of therapeutic communication that alleviates the pain in our heart that has been struggling with something so intense that we can finally say, you know what? I let go of what I know, and I let go of what I no longer need to know, right? Because ultimately, when we realize it at the end of life, which I'm pretty young, I'm still a young person. I've been through a lot myself as a person that has a medical condition. People till this day are still reacting. I'll be honest, people till this day still are hoping that I'm gonna be some kind of like pastor. And I'm gonna be honest, that's never going to happen. I don't know how much a person still believes that, you know, still hoping for that. I'm like, what in the world? But anyways, the reason I wanted to come with this RTS is because it's real. You know, life experience is real. A person will go through a whole lifetime recognizing that no matter how much work a person puts in, sometimes that work is never enough. And, you know, I don't know, that may be a little bit of a wishy-washy thing, but me, if you saw my previous video about evidence, you know, I still believe in faith. You know, I still believe in this concept of faith, this idea of faith, that's all you really need. You don't need the overbearing amount of contextual irrationality of something that does not align with your current circumstance, right? Like, take for instance, most people believe like, oh, well, America is not mentioned in the Bible. It only talks about nations. Well, nations are only, you know, if we're really going to get into plural and using the letter S at the end of nations, it gets complex, right? If you saw my previous video about mental health, you know, mental health matters, you know, complexity is one of those things that are very complex to understand, because most people don't take notice of that. They kind of rely on their epistemology of evidence of only subjective experiences, often not recognizing their objective rationality, right? Because, I mean, think about it. Let's say a person, let's say like my brother, right? My brother's having a kid. He's about to have a son. And him and his wife are about to have a son. And his wife is also a math teacher. She used to be a math teacher, right? So she taught at a school. And my brother is a business owner. I mean, he got his degree in business. So you think about me as an uncle recognizing that their child's going to go through the same system of the United States of America. Meaning, make sure you put an S at the end of a word, or put a period at the end of a sentence. So that's the problem here, right? When we look at the opacity, right, spiritual opacity, we often miss the mark. And if we don't understand what that means, we're always going to be missing the mark of what that really means. So the reason I come up with this talk about RTS is because how do we understand religious trauma syndrome? Well, it's best for us to talk about it, right? It's best for us to take notice of that it's manifesting. We also need to understand that RTS is a real thing, right? Unfortunately, I don't know the entire clinical diagnosis of those things, if it's really in the DSM-5 or DSM-6 that's coming out. But it's real. I'll be honest. It is real. Most people out there are not taking notice of it. But however you interpret this video, you know, however you want to take notice of how RTS is showing up in people's lives, how do we clear that, right? Maybe this can be therapeutic for you, you know? You take notice that someone read the whole thing, and you take notice, like, you know what? Someone actually read the whole thing, and I don't have to do it myself. He has a testimony, and I can relate to that, or relate to that as well. So maybe that's your interpretation, maybe it's not, but anyways, remember, this channel is about spirituality. How do we come back to its center? How do we come back to simplicity? To heal our hearts, because ultimately no one is obligated to read that whole book. But the fact that I read the whole thing, honestly, I'm still like kind of like, I can't believe there are things that people don't talk about. But I'm not going to get into it, right? That's my purpose here, is to help you understand that we can heal from the things that are not helpful. The things out there that are people don't know. So anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoy. Remember to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.